Hello everybody, this is Gregory with How I Lost Over 100 Pounds and have kept it off for 30 plus years, where there should be no hesitance in your weight loss and weight maintenance. Today we're going to talk about 3 reasons why you should not eat out. Now before we begin, if you need help with weight loss, especially from the psychological point of view, please contact me through the Clarity FM link found here in the episode notes. Also check out my courses, check out my books, my website Naturopathic Earth, which has hundreds of articles and recipes, and my podcast, The Awakened Man. And lastly, if you appreciate my content at all, please make a donation via the PayPal link. All right, so this is not a big epiphany here why you shouldn't eat out. Clearly, there's a lot of reasons why we do eat out. If you look at the statistics, we eat out a lot more than we did 40 years ago, even 20 years ago. There's a lot of reasons for this: the breakdown of the family, single parents, food porn. We have an episode here on what that is, and we're just lazy. And it's not a coincidence, of course, that we're the most overweight we've ever been in human history, with the correlation of us eating out more. I did an Awakened Man podcast like 2 years ago that showed that 50% of men eat out daily. 50%. Now, many of this is lunch, especially pre-lockdown. You go to the corporate office and then men typically don't pack their lunch and they'll grab something at the nearby cafe or the food stand or whatever it is. But again, eating out is not good for us. So let's get to 3 reasons why we shouldn't be eating out. Number 1, let's just get to the fact that it's expensive. Let's be real. Now, I complain about middle aisle grocery foods being the most expensive things typically in the grocery store in terms of what you're getting bang for your buck, because they're prepackaged and they mark them up. But even getting middle aisle grocery store foods, whether it be cereals and chips, all these things, is cheaper than eating out. There's no question about this. Every time we eat out, we're spending now. Sometimes I watch shows from the 80s and they'll have like a glimpse of they go into a cafe and you'll see the prices. It'll be like hamburger, $2.50. I'm like, where is this place now? I even talk about in Confessions of an Obese Child, where they used to have the Big Mac specials of 2 for $2. And now you can say it's inflation, or you can just say it's the avarice of these corporations. But a typical entree now at any restaurant is going to be at least $10. And many times there's not a lot of leftovers. Whereas if you're making your food at home, let's say you make pasta, or you're grilling burgers or barbecue, normally you are going to have leftovers that can feed you for several days. You could see this with Thanksgiving. Just happening, how you could go to a Thanksgiving meal at some restaurant, or you can make your turkey. But if you make your turkey, you're going to have a lot of leftovers throughout the week, as opposed to paying for somebody and then you're not going to have those leftovers. So it is expensive. I don't think anybody can question that. And we could say it's expensive to get crappy Starbucks from coffee from Starbucks and these other places as well are overpriced. So that is one factor that you need to think about, it's just the price. And even if you're wealthy, I get it, but that money that you'd be saving by not eating out, 50% of men eat out every day. Let's say even if you eat out 4 times a week, that money could be redistributed to something else, savings, a payment on a car, whatever it is, it adds up. So that's the non-health reason why you shouldn't be eating out all the time. It's just, it's expensive. Number 2, I think this is the most important one. These restaurants, and look me in the eye, do not care about you. They don't care about you, okay? Just because they have commercials that make you feel good, or they want to think that you're part of the family, they just want your dollar. They're manipulating you. They're manipulating you because they want your money. They don't care about your health. And how do we know this? Because they put tons of toxins in the food. Tons of toxins. They load the food up with monosodium glutamate, which is an obesogen and a neurotoxin, to make the food taste better. Okay, if they cared about you, they wouldn't be doing that. If they cared about you, they wouldn't be cooking in industrial grade vegetable oil instead of butter. We have an episode on what you should cook in. But they cook on the lowest ingredients. And anywhere you go, they're going to use the lowest ingredients. Plus, they mark up the price, even on the lowest foods. But you got to get out of this idea Applebee's, they do these commercials. Oh, they like me. We see this with Big Grocery. I did an episode on how Big Grocery doesn't care about you either. But restaurants, they put crap in our food. Why do they put crap in the food? Well, partly because they want to hit the bliss point. So if you look at any of the foods, most of the foods that we get at restaurants taste really good because they have that combination of fat, sugar, and salt to make it really addictive. And not to mention, they're going to put tons of calories. If you go to a Mexican restaurant, we have the treatment on the restaurants. They're going to load it up with cheese and chili because cheese and chili tastes good. If you go to a restaurant and get a dessert, what are they going to do? They're typically, unless you go to the hoity-toity places that charge you $15 for a small slice, if you go to like Chili's or whatever is the national brand, they're going to give you Cheesecake Factory. They're going to give you these mammoth slices. And a lot of people, just like with portion sizes, they're like, I'm getting my bang for my buck. You might be, but at the same time, you're getting more toxins in your body because they put a bunch of crap in the food that's inflammatory and pernicious to our health. So you got to get out of the idea that restaurants care about you. All they care about is your dollar. And advertising is used as a way to manipulate you and to manipulate me to get you to go to that place. Food porn. Why do you think big food spends so much money on advertising? Why do you think Budweiser spends so much money on beer commercials during sports games, sports events? And why we see constant Pizza Hut and McDonald's commercials and all these things? Because the food porn works. Okay, if they cared about you, they wouldn't be trying to manipulate you with subliminal messages and in food porn. If they cared about you, they wouldn't be putting in tons of carcinogens and preservatives in food. They don't care about you. They don't. And the third one is just simply you can't control the ingredients. I mean, this is the most obvious one. Whenever you're cooking at home, let's say you're making a pasta or a burgers or whatever it is, you can control the ingredients that are being put in there. So as opposed to going to a restaurant or fast food where they're using diseased cow meat from 12 different cows, that's the average. It's a study that showed that the typical patty from fast food comes from 12 diseased cows that they all mix together. And we know, for example, chicken nuggets, what that comes from. You can get grass-fed meat. You can get pastured eggs. You can get wild-caught fish. You can control the spices and the condiments and the sauces. You can control which vegetables that you're getting. You can get organic vegetables that aren't loaded with pesticides. Because newsflash, the large majority of restaurants are just getting the cheapest produce. Not that you're getting a lot of produce at the typical restaurant, right? It's not like they're giving you, unless you're ordering the salads, but they're not getting you organic tomatoes, which are on the dirty dozen of the environmental working group. They're not giving you organic stuff. They're just giving you the lowest grade crap. So you can't control the ingredients. Sure, some people will go to a restaurant and say, hey, can you cook my food in butter? Which is not an issue. You should ask for that because they're cooking in rancid industrial grade vegetable oils. But as a whole, you can't control the ingredients. You can't control the amount of sugar and fat and other things that they're putting in there. And so you lose control. And overall, when you think about it, these three things, the price, you can't control the ingredients, and they're manipulating you, should be sufficient reasons to stay away. And I understand, look, I'm a bachelor, and cooking is a pain, and I'm not the best at it, so I just typically cook the same foods. Like, I love eggs. And I get it, right? So when you live alone or maybe you're working, you're going to say, well, I don't have time to eat. I don't have time to cook, blah, 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 blah. But these are all excuses. These are all excuses because, look, you could food prep. You see a lot of people food prep. On the weekends, you could do that. You can learn to cook. You can, even if you want to have the organic dishes shipped to you, there's a lot of those services where you just have to warm them up and they have better ingredients. So we can't have all these excuses as to why we are going to eat out. 50% of men eat out daily, like why we're going to McDonald's every day or some taco place every day or some Middle Eastern restaurant every day or the TGI Fridays or whatever the place is. Because we can't have this cognitive dissonance and not say we know that this food isn't healthy for us. Because even when you get healthy food at these places, let's say a salad, they know, right? Why do the waiters say, hey, would you like to start with alcohol? They know that we are weak when it comes to our fortitude, when it comes to having all these things. It's like Augustus Gloop and Willy Wonka going to the chocolate factory. So even if your intention, and just like at grocery stores, right? This is why they have supermarket scientists to manipulate us there. But you might have the best intentions. I'm going to go to Chili's and get a salad, and you go there and you end up getting the chicken crispers and an Oreo cake and all these things. So the best thing to do, obviously, is just limit. I'm not telling you can never eat out. Just limit the amount of times you eat out, because like Jesus told Peter, the spirit's willing, but the flesh is weak. And it's just better to stay home. You'll save money and you can control the ingredients. And if you're even a decent cook or try to be a decent cook, the food that you make at home could end up even being better than a lot of the food that you eat when going out. And if you need the social part of eating out, just invite these people over to your house. Guys, post in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Do you eat out a lot? How often do you eat out? Hit the notification button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the share button. Until next time, take care. God bless and pray.